¿Qué hubo, raza? Welcome to my channel, your channel, The Gadsden Refund. Bienvenidos a mi canal, su canal, The Gadsden Refund. With this YouTube channel, I hope to express the feeling out there on the streets. I think it's one thing to read about Chicanos and the Chicano movement, and then something very different to get a sense of what's really happening on the ground and express what everyday people of Mexican descent in this country and in Mexico are thinking and feeling. There's a few channels out there, maybe I want to say a handful. Yeah, that sounds about right. Let's say a handful. There's a lot of Mexican Americans out there with their own channels, but they're not talking about anything um, related to the community. They just happen to be Mexicans. But as far as them, talking about issues that that relate to our community, they're not doing that. So as far as channels that are run channels by Mexicans about Mexican issues, I want to say there's a handful that I personally have seen, and quite honestly, humbly, I wasn't very impressed. Um, in the case of about two of these channels, I think we'd be better off if they didn't exist at all because um, all they're putting out there are more lies and creating more confusion. So, if you were to ask me what's worse, not having uh, a voice for Mexican Americans or having a voice for Mexican Americans that's furthering lies and half truths and confusion, I would have to say the former, because the latter is very dangerous. There's already enough confusion out there. Like I said, there's a few channels out there already that intend to talk about Mexican American issues. But like I said, in my humble opinion, either they're regurgitating ideas and messaging from Wikipedia or vlogs, or they're activists of some kind, and I'm using air quotes here. They're activists that are trying to further a certain agenda. Let me just say that I am Mexican American. I refer to myself as Chicano. I live in a Mexican neighborhood and have always lived around Mexicans my whole life. I've actually taken the time and invested the money in buying and reading books from bookstores and libraries, and have traveled extensively throughout Mexico and the US and other parts of the world. I hate to break it to you, sadly, there's still no replacement for real books about real research by real scholars. Yeah, I hate to break it to you, but half of what's out on the internet right now, especially pertaining to Mexican Americans, is completely false, completely unfounded. There's scores of websites out there claiming to prove the Earth is flat, that space aliens, shape-shifting space aliens are in the White House, that the Olmecs were African. I mean, you name it. There's a lot of junk science, a lot of just utterly ridiculous, um, content, information, and I use that word lightly, that's being disseminated by people out there. So um, there was a time when there were only the conventional outlets for information, and that's like the universities, the school systems, the news, the TV, radio, and the print media, newspapers, magazines. And now we're at a, a juncture, we're at a certain point in life where anybody can get out there and say whatever they want. And, um, and that's great. That's awesome. The only drawback is that we're being bombarded with all sorts of stupidities And, that's the unfortunate side of it. And if you're a person that's not very well read, not very well traveled, and like everybody, you have your own biases, then that could be a very dangerous cocktail, as we're seeing out there in society right now. Um, so this channel is for Mexicans by Mexicans. Mexicans, I mean Mexican Americans, Chicanos, Chicanas, Chicanes. Again, there's no agenda here. No wild conspiracy theories either. Like most of you Mexicans out there in the world, I can sense that things are wrong, or that things could be better, much better. I have always had an open mind and an open heart, and have always questioned. I've always questioned everything in my life and around me since I was a kid. I've never been afraid to think for myself and question ideas. However, I'd like to think that I've always done it with respect and understanding, right? So there's some people that might say things that are not correct, that are false, that are negative, but um I also try to understand where they're coming from, and I think that's important as well. The ultimate goal of this channel is to voice my opinion in a way that's positive and constructive, to create dialogue and hopefully inspire and motivate Mexicans to think outside the box, to imagine a better future for everybody, really. So this video, this initial video, what it is, in fact, is a disclaimer. And so let me run it down really quick for you. Again, this channel is for Mexicans by Mexicans. If you're not Mexican, but you love Mexicans and you want to help us out, then you're welcome. But if you don't like Mexicans, if you're Mexican and you don't like Mexicans, or you're not Mexican, don't like Mexicans, whatever the case may be, if if you don't like Mexicans and or don't want to help us, then this channel is not for you. But like I said, there's something out there for everybody. Um, needless to say, there's tons of channels out there that hate Mexicans as much as you do, or perhaps even more. Some of these channels even claim to be pro Mexican, and what they're really doing is just pimping our history and our culture. But it doesn't take a genius to sort of read between the lines and kind of realize that in fact they're just, playing us, they're pimping us, and then at the same time they're using their channels, their clout to perpetuate, more stereotypes, more negativity. And so if you don't like Mexicans, skip my channel and go on to some of these channels that I've mentioned. I suggest you go to these channels instead. Don't waste your time here. Like, life's too short to waste it hating anything or anybody. So that's my advice to you, my friendly advice to you, whoever you may be. Also, if another disclaimer that's very important: if you're Mexican but you're looking for a channel that's about getting revenge on the Spanish or the Gachapines for having colonized and enslaved us for 300 years, or you're mad at the gringos or gabachos for stealing more than half of Mexico's territory, this channel's not for you either. Like I said, life's too short and precious to waste it hating anyone or anything. There's already way too much of that anyway, too much hatred and craziness and violence out there to want to add even more to it. No, thank you. Also, if you're Mexican but don't have an open mind, I'm warning you, you're probably not going to like this channel either. We're going to re-examine a lot of established ideologies and strategies in a new light and with a new perspective. Also, I want to make clear that I sincerely believe that we, we Mexicans, and nobody else, we Mexicans are to blame for all our problems. And I also firmly believe that we're the only ones that should and can make things better. I've never been one to blame others or make excuses for my failures or the failures of the Mexican people. we're going to get into a wide range of topics here dealing with the reality of our people, the Mexican people, ranging from education to gangs to money, feria, immigration, chicanismo, cultura, historia, politics, the environment, you name it. We're going to try to get into all of that here. And as far as they relate to Mexican Americans and what Mexican Americans think about these issues, what we're doing, and especially what we're not doing. Um, so again, I want to stress that the difference between this channel and the other channels that I've seen that purport to that claim to talk about Mexican issues and ideas and questions. The difference between this channel and those channels is that I'm going to try to you know give the opinion of real Mexicans today. I mean, people talk about, it's funny because I go online and people talk about Chicanos, but they're really talking about Chicanos 50 years ago, like back in the 60s during the height of the Chicano movement. Um, there's Mexicans today. We don't have to go back, 50 years ago. Um, we're not, you know, again, this is the opinion of real Mexicans, Mexicans of today, of right here, right now. Not ivory tower intellectuals, not partisan activists. Like I said, there's no agenda here. This channel is completely disinterested. This is all about trying to improve our current situation in the U.S. and in Mexico right here, now, today. So, I think I've pretty much covered everything. A lot of what's said here is ad lib, so bear with me. Um, so, again, just tune in, listen up, tell your friends, and enjoy. Um, make suggestions down below, comment. I promise to read your comments and address them in subsequent videos. So, thank you guys very much. Tlaskamati, gracias. And los veo en el próximo video. Rato.